it all. I worked with some of you guys. I love working with the different schools during the art stroll. We always try and feature a different school. So if you guys are ever interested in having any of your students ever do that, we would love to collaborate with you. It's pretty amazing to watch the kids come in there and their eyes just light up when they're like, I'm in an art gallery, and they get to show their friends and family. And that's something really important to us, is that we're inspiring kids to, love art and see that there's something amazing about it for them.
I'm Susan Snyder, and I also am one of the artists of the local artisan collective. I'm a watercolorist there. I teach after-school art classes there. I teach adult watercolor studio, and I also do a lot of nature journaling classes. I do those twice a month. I have a group that goes out. My background is also in environmental education, so I taught at the Ogden Nature Center for 10 years as their naturalist, and I still teach part-time there, and I still teach art classes for them. So I kind of do both. I like to teach about nature, but I like to use art to do that. So that's what I do.
Hi, my name is Alicia Washington. I am the co-founder, co-director and founder of Good Company Theater. We're located on 24th and Wall here in Ogden. I also sit on the Ogden City Arts Advisory Committee. I'm going to be sitting on the board for the Val A. Browning Center. And then graduated from Weber State University with my degree in musical theater. And I just love everything theater and the arts. And recently, including producing theater, I'm getting back on stage, and later this year working with Plan B Theater Company located in Salt Lake and doing their statewide tour of an original piece by Jenny Kokai called Zombie Thoughts. So it is a tour that goes around to elementary schools that Jerry Rapier, who is the director of Plan B Theater Company, finds the funding for. So if that's something that you're interested in your school, let's chat.
My name is Amir Jackson. I am the founder of Nurture the Creative Mind, a youth-based nonprofit organization, arts organization in Ogden. I also sit on a few different boards. I sit on the UCA, the Utah Cultural Alliance Board. I'm designated as a change leader in the arts, which was pretty cool, and an emerging leader of color in the arts for the Western United States. I just love what I do with Nurture the Creative Mind. It's a blessing that I have the opportunity to give young people a voice through the arts, help them understand that they have value and that's not deferred, that they have value today. So some of the things that we are involved in, I think a lot of people know about Nurture the Creative Mind or our impact without knowing that it was us. For example, the Street Piano Project, downtown Ogden, that's a project that our organization started. We also have a podcast. It's Utah's first youth-based podcast that's ran and syndicated by NPR. So our students, it's all about tangible outcomes, establishment of empowerment, self-value, and community. So we'd love to work with any of you.
I'm Kay Stevenson. I head up the printmaking area at Weber State University and have been involved with art education for a lot of years, but recently have passed that along to Diana Huxholt, whom I hope several of you have had the opportunity or will have the opportunity to work with in the near future. My caveat is that I just recently got to know Erica, and so she tapped me, although I'm not sure I'm the best information or lead person for Weber State, but I'll do my best if you have questions. I had hoped to get a couple of the folks here that probably would be the best to speak with, and I will give you those names if I talk with you individually. And they include our outreach coordinator, Todd Obendorfer, as well as Lydia Gravis, who runs our gallery, and we often have some interesting programs for bringing students in and then doing additional programming or projects, activities relative to having that person there. Whenever we have visiting artists, we always try to get the info out. We've had some great ones this year and some really fabulous exhibitions that you wouldn't find even in Utah, but of a national kind of quality. So please make sure that you know that you're always welcome to any of those exhibitions. And all of our visiting artist speakers are free and open to the public. And we are pretty active on Facebook. That's one of the best ways to either reach us or to make sure your students are following along in case they're interested in getting out with a group of their friends on a weekend evening and want to do something cool. That's one great way to do it.
Doesn't your thesis exhibition start next Friday?
Oh, yes, next Friday, yeah, because the Hamu show has just come down, and our BFA, both the fine arts, the studio arts, as well as our graphic design people will have their opening, who I suspect a few people here have had some business in getting them into that field at the secondary level. Their opening is next Friday night, 7 to 9 at 7:30. We are going to have the awards ceremony and a Mount Scholarship, Student of the Year, and several other related awards.
I'm Lori Buckley. I am the arts coordinator for Ogden City. So really what I do in general is advocate and support any arts organization in this city or area. So our goal is to make sure that our city is vibrant and engaging with arts programming. My department, ourselves, we do the Twilight concert series, Tunes at Noon, Monday night movies. First Friday Art Stroll is something that I administer over the Ogden City Arts Advisory Committee. It's something I work with them, and they're a great group of volunteers that spend a lot of volunteer hours advocating and supporting the arts for our community. And really, our goal, we have a lot of irons in the fire, and I really am wanting to support the youth because I want them to realize that they can have a career in the arts, that it isn't something that's just a hobby, that they can actually go and continue with what they love and have a career and be successful. We're working on the Creative District right now. It's just about ready to go to City Council to be officially approved. It's an area from Grant Street to Madison, 26th to 24th, and within this district it'll be focusing on live-work areas, studio space, creative businesses. And so what we're doing as a city is trying to make sure that we can support our creatives, that they can live and work and and support themselves. Another thing that we do is we have arts grants, and we have two types. There's a general support grant, which supports organizations that are nonprofit and are already established, but we have project support grants that anyone could apply for. Erica's actually applied for them, and you don't have to have a nonprofit status, and you can, if you have a project that you want to do, a mural project or something with your students, keep that in mind that those grants are there and available, and it isn't a hard process, and it's just something that we want to make sure that you guys are all aware of, and that your students know that it's there, that there is money to do these things, if they have these great ideas of how to get the art out into, public art, these sorts of things, teaching a class, like something like that. So the information is there. I just don't think, a lot of people know about it, and so we've been working hard to make sure that you guys know we're here and we're supporting you.
Okay. My name's Rob Gray. I am head of the repair shop, and I also teach lessons at Imagine Music. At Imagine Music we have, in addition to just teaching guitar, bass, drums, vocal, piano, violin, we also run a rock band program. So we have students that we get together from all ages. So we have students I think as young as 8, up to teens. And we get them together in groups and they play and they perform at a lot of the events that she's putting on. So the bands will go out and play a set and perform out in the public. Because practicing, at home by yourself or with your band and your practice space is a different thing. In addition to working in Imagine Music, I also own and operate a custom guitar building company. And I do guitar building workshops, and I've also done some work release stuff through the district where students can get credit and come shadow me in the shop, and we learn about working on guitars and stuff like that, running a business.
That was a good segue. Does anybody else want to speak to any other connections that they want to make with teachers here? Any other projects that you have going on that like popped in your head while each other was talking?
I would like to just add on to what Stephanie said, that she does bring in school art on First Friday Art Stroll. There, if you go to the website, and I think I have it shortened now to ogdencity.com/artstroll, you can see who all the people who participate in that, and many of the other galleries or businesses that participate they're always looking for things to show, and I am super supportive of student art. I think it's great to get them out there to build their confidence, and people like to look at it. I mean, it's awesome to support them and, have emerging artists get their toe in the water about what it's like to have a show. So, keep that in mind. I can help you if you want to contact me first, and then I can help put you together with some of the organizations, but you're also welcome to contact them because they do contact me rather regularly and say, what can I do? Who's looking for a place? You know what I mean? I need an artist, or I need someone to highlight. So, and it isn't just visual art. It's music. You can have, so any of your guys doing choir and band and these sort of things, dance. There's all sorts of things that you can do on First Friday. It's not just visual art, performance, yes, theater. So keep that in mind. If you just have a little group that, it doesn't pay, but it is good experience, and it just gets them out there, and also it's great for the community to see it.
I would like to add that Nurture the Creative Mind, so we are project-based. So we offer a ton of different types of projects throughout the year. We have a theater project where we do street theater. That's an 8-10 week long project. The podcast I mentioned. We also have a screen printing project in class where the students learn how to screen print their own clothing. The graphic design, we have a recording studio where the students can learn how to record their own music and record their friends' music. We actually have had a couple of students from Imagine Music come through. And all of the classes that we offer are 100% fee-free. They don't cost anything for the students to participate. We're funded by private donations, and we also manage the Ogden Arts Festival. So we retain some funds and revenue from that. So I mentioned that. I want that to be I think that's very important because our organization is a resource for the community. We are here to serve the students, and you all who are serving the students as well, serve you. So please utilize us. That's what we're here for.
I will say that Good Company Theater, we have, over the summer, let me rewind. We do 5 main stage shows a year, and then we do about 2 to 3 cabarets, smaller shows. But we do have the opportunity to perform one big show at the Ogden City Amphitheater. This is our 3rd year of doing that, and our musical this year is American Idiot, which is by Green Day. And so last year we were able to integrate student interns to be on our tech side, to work with, we are a professional theater company, we are a nonprofit organization as well, so to work with our tech designers, our lighting designers, our set designers. And so if you have anyone that would have an interest in that, even to the extent of being an assistant director, to see how that operates outside of the productions that you put up at your own schools. And then we're also starting a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. And so if you have any students that attend the Boys and Girls Club classes, we are starting those programs this summer. It's the Create at the Club programming. And then we also have worked with Two Rivers High School before to bring in students to see our productions. And I will say that we do mostly contemporary work, so we are aware that some of the shows might not be appropriate for the age group. But also we have worked with teachers that they get the text like Fences by August Wilson, and they'll study the text and then they'll come in and see the show. So we're more than happy to find ways to get your students to come out and see professional work in town.
I also just thought of something that I would love for you to tell your students. We have an open artist call right now. It's a very simple one. We're doing a painted street project in downtown Ogden. I don't know if any of you saw this, but you guys are welcome, any of you artists, designers. We're doing the intersection. Do you know where Platforms is on Adams and 25th? It's up east of Washington. So the 4 crosswalks in that intersection and the middle of the road between Adams and Washington, between the yellow lines. So a section below the crosswalk at Ogden Avenue and a section here. Your students are welcome to apply for this too. There's no age limit, and the prize is $1,000 per section, and all it is basically a design that goes in those spaces. The information is at ogdencity.com/artist-call. The submissions are due on April 20th, so there's not a lot of time, but it's not an extensive, it's just create a design that fits in this space, and there's a color palette that you have to use because that's the type of paint the only paint we could have, but it is open, and that would be a great way for your students to participate in a public art call. And then also we're looking for volunteers, and I don't know if any students are it's summer, but the week of June 19th through the 23rd is when we'll be painting those streets. And so it would be great to have any of your students or any of you that would like to be involved in the painting process as well.
So this is a lot of information for us.
Kindy's typing it.
I was just thinking that, okay, so
I got a visual art.
so you're taking notes and we have the video, but maybe we could send out the websites to everybody and so don't get overwhelmed. You might want to star certain people that you want to contact right away.
Or chat with afterwards.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a dreamer, and so I like to always hear what other people's dreams and visions are. So thinking about either your organization or that pet project that you really want to do, there's probably 20 of them in your head. If you want to share a couple visions or hopes or things that are they've been on the back burner, but you really haven't had that synergistic opportunity to get it lighted and off and running, could you share some of your dreams of what you hope either for your organization or for what you hope for youth involving your organization, that maybe someone here has the same dream, and then we can connect you guys, and then poof, it's going to happen. Anybody? I know, it's telling you to come up with your dream, so take a moment, chew on that one.
Well, I know exactly, I've achieved a portion of my dream, which is starting my own theater company. My sister and I, we opened up back in 2012, and part of our mission is to make the arts accessible and affordable to everyone. I've seen Utah Musical Theater, there was a professional theater company for years in Ogden. That's why I stayed at Weber State University. And so I came back home after working my way. My first dream was to be on Broadway, but coming back and being I want to be ingrained in a community that I love and help support the arts and add to the arts in this community. And we are an alternative space, and so we go into these untraditional places that you would see theater. And so we have a non-traditional black box space, and we've expanded just within the last year to 24th and Wall. We used to be on 25th Street. And so we have, our theater is now 3,000 square feet with an entire basement as well. And then we have a rehearsal studio right next door that's 1,500 square feet. So that was step one. We've stayed open for 6 years, and we've moved to a larger facility. And something that I'm very passionate about is how do we make spaces affordable for the performing arts, but then how do we weave in these opportunities for people that want to do a dance production or want to do some type of an ensemble night, a choral ensemble night, in something that is outside of their classroom setting to give them that experience. And so if there's one thing I love more than theater, it's theater for young audiences and weaving in the youth. So for me, this is such an opportunity to be able to look at the faces that inspired me when I was 12, 13 years old and first getting into the arts, of providing a space for you and your students to explore what that is. Whether it's visual arts, we can have a gallery for a night, or we can do some type of modern dance. It's really just come and see the space and let's talk about what we can do.
Have you ever thought of coming to the schools and doing assemblies and things like that?
We could do that. It would take just a little bit more to figure out what the best programming would be. Right now I'm working with the Egyptian Youth Theater in Park City. I'm directing one of their shows. So if it's a project that maybe you don't feel like you would have the time to do, or you would want to add to what your resources are, I'd be more than happy to come in along with some people that I would highly recommend to help shape that out and teach some of those lessons that you would want to.
You know, like pie in the sky for me, first and foremost, I think young people, youth, are one of the most underutilized, undervalued demographics in our society. And I think creativity is one of the most important characteristics and attributes that a citizen can have. And so what I would like to do, my large vision, is to address both of those issues. I would like, now this is a little bit of secret sauce here, but you know,
Do you want me to turn that thing
I'm going to speak this into existence. What I would like is for young people to learn how to apply creativity in every aspect of their life. Attaching and connecting a creative mind to a successful person, rather than it being siloed into art is, you know, if you're in a choir, or an artist is a visual artist. Just the artist is a person who can navigate the world properly and effectively. And also, I think one of the biggest hurdles for creatives and artists in general is that we speak with one side of our brain, and we don't really communicate really well and effectively with that logical, analytical, money side, right? And often the individuals who are allocating funds to art organizations and artists, you know, they don't necessarily have those heartstrings, or they don't communicate very well with them, at least. And so I wanted to teach young people how to communicate with both sides of the brain, how to communicate effectively, creatively, but also in an entrepreneurial sense. So the long-term vision is I would love to be able to teach young people how, like the creative side of things, right? Like say, for example, screen printing. Teach them how to be screen printers, graphic design. But by the time that they exit Nurture the Creative Mind, they could have their own business doing screen printing. They learn the entrepreneurial side. They learn how, and especially with the internet now, you don't necessarily have to have a brick and mortar anymore to be an effective business person. So teaching young people how to be creative, how to address the obstacles in their lives, the struggles, these things that are inevitable, how to use a creative mind to do that, and then show them how to apply that skill so that they can earn an income from it. So that's really what I would like, pie in the sky.
To play off of what he's saying, just so you know, we've been working on and are continuing to work on, and I believe it's going to continue. It's not set in stone yet, but there's an art in action professional, it's called the Professional Development Series, but it is open to the public. Like your students who are super interested in being a professional theater artist, performing artist, dancer, or visual artist can come to these courses. And if you, we market a lot on social media, so if you follow like Ogden Arts, Ogden City Arts has a Facebook page, or Ogden_Arts on Instagram. I post about these, and they're usually almost always free. Some of them have workshops, and it is about the business of being an artist. Like how to price your work, like all these things that a young artist, they don't know how to do, and if we can teach that to them now, they're going to be so much more successful because they're not going to go through all the pitfalls that all we have gone through trying to figure this out our whole lives. And by the time you figure it out, you're retired. I mean, I am a huge fan of the arts. I'm loved art my whole life and was told my whole life that you can't have a job in it. you know, and I finally, you know, went back to school and got my Bachelor of Fine Arts. I'm a painter. I love printmaking because of this beautiful woman sitting next to me. She's an excellent, excellent printmaker. And I just really, you know what I mean, I think we need to get to the students a little bit earlier so that they believe in themselves and we can help them with these, you know, Amir's organization or these art. I mean, they're not all the time. We try to do them every month, every couple months, but it's just called Art in Action, so you see it. And we did one, we had it actually for the dance teachers, what was the name of the dance company? They're from San Francisco. They were here doing a show for Ogden Symphony Ballet. They brought them in, and you could come in, huh? It was the one before Parsons. There was one before Parsons, and last, maybe December, November-ish.
Okay.
Anyways, can't remember their name, but they came and they did a whole question and answer, like, it was free and open, and any of your dancers could have come and asked them, what is it like to be a professional touring dancer? You know, and they say, this is how I do it, this is how I got into it, this is what it's like to live on the road. And so it's just great to give them a little glimpse into, you know, and so they can do.
I'd like to add to that also. So we do something once a quarter for artists as well. And like we've had an accountant come in, which was very helpful to a lot of artists because, like Amir was saying, a lot of us, like, we make what we make and we love, and then sometimes we forget, oh, we need to do inventory or, you know, those kind of important tax things at the end of the year. So that's something you can watch for too. We've had This is Ogden. Tim, who runs that for Instagram, came and did some training on Instagram for business, and so we try and have a lot of local people come in and do things like that that would be really helpful to students as well. And since a lot of you, I realized this as we went through the line, since some of you aren't from Ogden, you probably don't even know what the Local Artisan Collective is. and so maybe some of you guys want to expand on what you are too, for people that aren't local. But we have over 70 artists in our store. We have a huge retail area, and then in the very middle we have classroom space where we do things like glass blowing, silversmith, leatherworking, painting, pretty much any kind of class you can think of. We've taught it over there, it seems like. And then we also have artist studio space where artists can rent the space and they can work on projects and you can come in and actually talk to them and see how they're doing things as well too. One of the things that, since there's 70 artists, we get a million ideas from a million different amazing people, but one of the things that we've talked about doing is holding some classes called Kids Teaching Kids, where some of the kids that, like my son does a hydro dipping class on squirt guns, which makes it really awesome and kids really love that. It was a really fun thing he did last year. And so we've had a lot of people asking about that, and so, you know, if you have some students that are interested in doing something like that, then contact us too, and I think that would be something fun to get started.
So it's kind of interesting playing off of what Amir said. You know, I came art. Art is my third career, I'll be honest. I've always done it, but my first career was 25 years as a journalist in this community and in other communities in the United States. And then I left that to teach environmental education and went back and got a master's degree to do that at the Ogden Nature Center for 10 years. Because as an environmental writer, you know, I was finding out that, you know, writing editorials for adults is great, but if you want to change the way we look at the place that sustains us, you need to connect with kids. And so I went and taught at the Nature Center. And then I realized that in my mind, when I was in school, science and math were a complete mystery to me, and they would have remained so if it hadn't been for art. I would have never learned my fractions if I hadn't had to play piano, and if I hadn't spent all of my time in band and being a percussionist and doing the things that I did in the arts growing up and that I did on the side, you know. But I realized that it was through these types of activities is how I came to understand the scientific method and how I ended up, you know, because the watercolorist uses the scientific method every single time he makes a color. In order to get that same color every single time, you've got to do things exactly in the same steps. Come up with your hypothesis, test it out in the steps, and go back if it doesn't work. And so I do have, you know, I've done curriculum for the Da Vinci Academy on art and the scientific method and that type of thing. So if connecting art with these other subjects, so the kids understand that you can understand science through art, you can understand math through art, you can understand how to solve a lot of problems through these other activities using that other side of your brain. That's something I've done a lot of, and I always go to the environmental education conference statewide every year and present on connecting art with these people who aren't artists, because you don't have to be an artist, you know. Art is something we should all be able to do. Drawing is something you can be taught. It's not a talent. It's something you can learn to do by looking, and it's really a lot about draftsmanship and math and percentages and proportion. And so, it's one of those things where I kind of feel like it's something that we should all be able to teach people along the way. And if you guys ever need help with ideas for connecting some of these things to some of these other subjects for whatever reason you would have, I'm there. I can help with that. It's something I do on a regular basis. So.
I have a couple of dreams, and one I'm going to talk a little about what we're doing at our institution, and then the other one is a little bit more personal, but that is happening within the community. First of all, I am presuming that a lot of you have actually come out of Weber State University, but we are very much known as a first-generation university, and kids who might not otherwise have a fabulous opportunity to get a college degree. And we all know how not only valuable, but practically essential that is in today's world. So we're readily available. We have done a significant amount of work in the past few years, not just my area or my college, but our university, getting it more accessible, more available, making sure our first-year students know how to make it through that first semester, that second semester, so they can really manage. And we are really priding ourselves on that. So for it to be as economical as it is, to have it really close and available to so many of your students who might not otherwise even have the nerve to go looking to get a college degree. We really want to take advantage of that, and our administration is clearly in tune with that need and attempting in every way we can to make that happen. Secondly, Weber really prides itself and will continue to grow the program of being involved with our CSEL, our Community Engaged Learning, and we have for every year running since its inception been awarded the Presidential Medal, the Carnegie Medal for that, and we continue to do so. For example, right now, Tamara Goldbogen, who does the Beverly T. Sorensen Arts Learning Program, which several of the elementary people probably know about, she, I, and another teacher in the area are working along with Amir on an honors program that meets down at Celtic Creative, doing a civic movable mural that's going to be available to travel throughout the community. And that's just one of the examples of what we do in terms of engaged learning and service learning. We have a whole center that's involved in that. We are now making a part of the way people get promoted and tenured. It's in the package to become involved in outreach. It's no longer necessarily what discipline do you teach, but we have professors who are coming in and taking jobs at Weber because they understand that that has become one of our top values, and they'll come because they understand that we're an institution that's really active and working and continue to develop programs that work within the community, be it education or being in other civic kind of programs. So keep investigating those on your own and keep encouraging your students to feel comfortable at campus, to come and visit us, to know that it's a real possibility for some of them who have not thought about that yet. And then on a more personal level, I'm really interested in and pretty excited about the possibility of a nonprofit makerspace here in Ogden. And I think we're starting to get that ready. I know of several community members who are involved in a building that's very close to platforms, just across the way, that's being renovated, and there's a great possibility that we can make that into a very interesting makerspace for all ages in our community. So I am excited about that, and I'm also anxious to hear ways that we can be adding to that as it develops. I think they are hoping to have an opening on that within a year, if I'm not mistaken. Do you know much more about it?
I do.
And Scott, we should probably put out Scott's Patria's name.
Scott Patria, yeah, so,
Oh, it's-
Patria.
We say
So
it
Scott
together.
Patria is a gentleman who sits on the Arts Advisory Committee with Alicia and several other members, and he is super involved in the arts, advocating, and he is part of a organization called Ogden First, and he's been working with Thane Fisher, who owns the building that she's speaking of. It's behind the Bigelow, I guess it's called Bigelow now. So behind the Bigelow, there's that big, really long building along Ogden Avenue. In the front of it looks kind of Spanish Revival style. So that building, they broke ground on it. It's going to be called the Monarch. And
Oh, they just named it. Right?
yeah, they
that's
called
right.
it the Monarch. And it's going to have an event space upstairs, but studio space for working artists. And in the basement, hopefully, this is where the maker space is going to be. And so it would be a membership-based location where there would be all the tools that you don't have, hopefully, in your own studios, but it's open to the community to use. So that is kind of like the epicenter of the creative district, kind of right there. So that location, there'll be a plaza right there that's going to, hopefully, it's all in this future land, but in the works of being, an open space for art, public art exhibits, performances, but
Networking.
Yeah,
Networking of artists, which
yes.
we know is important.
Yeah, so as this comes online, we can keep our youth interested in coming into the arts and support you, all of you creatives. Well, I mean, you're creative. You're teaching creative, arts to students, and so it's supporting for you guys as well. But yeah, that is in process. We're hoping to be done in the spring of next year and have it open.
Any more dreams?
All right. Making sure I'm not going to interrupt anybody. So Imagine Music, our goal, obviously we teach lessons, but the rock band program is finding more places for kids to play. Because I personally, growing up, when you play in a band, you have nowhere to play. You have to wait till you're 21 so you can play bars. There's not very many venues. There was a few in Ogden when I was a kid, and they're all closed now. So we're trying to find places that kids can perform, and opportunities for those, not even necessarily the rock bands that we're overseeing, just in general, and move kind of into that because it's important to be able to play out. It's important to be able to perform because you work so hard on your music. And waiting till you're 21 is a long time to get out there and play. I personally have some goals with my business to grow into, I don't know if I necessarily want to go into an instrument building school per se, but I do want to have lots of educational opportunities for people to come take classes for building all sorts of instruments. I specialize in electric guitars, but I've also done ukulele building classes with people, stuff like that. And I've organized a trade show event or a guitar expo with all the ones that I know of, all the local luthiers, amp builders, and pedal builders. So I'm putting on a free to the public expo in August. So all of us guitar and instrument makers are going to have our stuff available for people to come see and try because there's a large community of us that's relatively unknown.
Would you let me know about when you're in the next uke building class?
Yeah.
I'm there.
Well, our time is getting short, and everybody's time here is valuable, and I know we put a ton of time into what we all do, because that's our passion. So, thank you guys all for being here. And
Can I ask a question to the group?
yeah, totally, go for it.
As someone in the community and thinking about getting more involved with the school board, what can I be doing and who can I be speaking to as someone just on the periphery to help you in the classroom? And at an administrative level, at a school board level, what can we be doing?
I often ask myself that same question, so great, thank you.
Dr. Carey.
I mean, there's a lot. This position that I have is new. I mean, really, they had to just run on their own. And so, let's grow together, you know what I mean? It's just, it's exciting. I don't know. We've got to do some planning and brainstorming, but there's a huge need, and I know it's really, the arts are very important to our district leadership. So, first I got to get teachers. You know, we don't have enough teachers.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
And we actually go till 3:45.
Yeah, I just want some chat time though.
Oh, chat.
That's valuable. But also, if you guys have questions, like,
I want to comment on that. Number one thing, I know everyone's saying the same thing, supplies. Access to supplies is probably the number one thing that I know I struggle with. I do a printmaking class, and I kid you not, it is the most like hack slash together kind of like work lamps from Home Depot duct tape.
That sounds beautiful.
It's amazing. We have a garden hose that we're spraying out our screens with, you know, we like,
So
we
Lori,
make
you
it
talked
work.
about grants, and you know, we have a wonderful foundation that funds so much of what we do. So and I'm also over all the grants for the district, so any grants that you guys have or know of or hear of, you know.
I just sent one out today.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see that?
I passed it off.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So when I hear about them, I will send them to
And,
you.
you know, the easy ones.
Yeah.
This is my thought on what we're talking about. I think that to be truthful, I don't believe that I don't know if the school district is the best to handle some of the obstacles that we're talking about and dealing with, right? I think that the partnership, let the school district do what they do well, and then the organizations in the community, if we partner with each other, I think that we're stronger that way. I think there's a lot of things that we're doing in the community. For example, like with our organization, Nurture the Creative Mind, we've been doing it for 11 years. We've done a ton of stuff. We had a street magazine similar to City Weekly that the students, it was kind of like a yearbook, thing, but the students did the articles, they did the graphic design, they took the photos, all of that. They were basically journalists, like it was like a newspaper. If we had a partnership with the school district, there are federal programs that we could get $200,000, $300,000 for, that we could partner together. Nurture the Creative Mind applies for the grant and funding. The district oversees it. We're stronger together. I think that it's not necessarily about the district trying to do what we're doing or us trying to do what the district is.
Okay.
It's about us doing our own thing and looking at where those interconnected lines are, and then using that as leverage for these larger funding. Because Nurture the Creative Mind and even Good Company Theater and as nonprofits, we don't qualify for some of those larger grants, and funding pools, state grants or federal grants, but the district does. If you were to partner with us and say, okay, these are the kind of programs that we can offer. Good Company Theater can offer theater programming for these 7 elementary schools. We need $250,000 to do that for 2 years, so on and so forth. I think that's where you're going to see the strength.
Okay, John had a question.
I wanted to go on that exactly, is that when I was a kid, yes, I learned a lot in the classroom, but where I learned the most was when I was outside of school. I'd go to, I'd do 4 shows, 5 shows at the same time in a theater, or I'd be in a dance company outside of school. And I might be wrong, but I haven't seen a lot of my students who do a lot of extension outside of the classroom. They leave the classroom and it's gone, and I would love to start making those partnerships where they're in my class and then they go, because there's a huge tradition of sports. There's a huge tradition of practicing in those outside of the classroom, and I want to build that because where I come from, that's everywhere. That's what you did the arts. And so being able to know, when there are opportunities to send my students to you, to let them gain those 5, 6, 7 hours a week, 8 hours a week of extra experience, they bring it back and they just continue to build our culture. You are the key to our culture at our schools. You really are. When we connect with you and do those big projects, that's what's going to build and create a beautiful cycle for the arts for the next decade.
And the kids have to see it. They don't know what's available. I mean, I didn't know all of this was right here. And and how do they see it? They aren't going to go out because they can't afford to go out after schools and stuff. So if it's at all, but you have to be honest. Bring them into the school. Have them do an assembly during Festival of Arts. They could be sitting there. We have money to even pay them to come in and just show what they do during the year. Just I think they don't see performances. They don't see anything. And but we have a great job, I think, doing the best we can, having the kids go to the Egyptian theater and see things here in Magic Ballet and things like that. But no one ever comes. They don't have assemblies anymore. And I know testing, but the assembly, that one assembly is what changed my life. That one assembly is so important for that kid to see a trumpet in somebody's mouth. It's just everything, and they don't get a lot of that, especially these kids.
Yeah, that's what's going through my mind is bridging the gap. What you were talking about. Getting my kids from at 3 o'clock. Parents come and get them, and then they are sequestered. And they're tending the smaller ones. They're doing, they aren't able to get out. And that's, I think that this is the key, is if there's somehow we can get our time to overlap a little bit, and I think it sounds like it can, where you can come to us, or we first, and say, this is available. And even have my parents there to say, this is available for your students. I mean, it's right here in our neighborhood. James Madison Elementary, I mean, good grief, it's right there.
Yeah.
But even getting them to come up to something at Ogden High doesn't happen unless you get a bus to get them there.
It's crazy. We've done photography classes with the students, where we walk the community environment classes. And we've taken them down to 25th Street, and they've never been there. They've never been to 25th Street. It boggles my mind that there's this place, 25th Street and that downtown area seems to me to be the hub. But there are places where these students do not feel like that's for them. That's not where they go. So yeah, absolutely, I totally agree with what you're saying. Like they just, they're going home, they have blinders on, and there are certain places where they feel like this is where we go, and this is where they go, and that bridge has to be connected.
Please tell your students, please tell them, the art stroll is so fun, and it's open and free, and they can bring their parents, especially in the summer, it's usually perfect weather, tell them to come to it,
It's like a little Brooklyn, New York.
It's amazing. I don't know if you guys attend, but that is something that we can do to bridge that gap. It's always free. There's snacks in a lot of the galleries. It's so much fun. So.
And by platforms in that area, there's lots of really lively, interesting things. Projection by digital artists, ongoing exhibitions.
Street buskers out playing music on the
it's
streets.
Just a blast.
It's super, and it's free. And it gets the parents, interested in looking.
We should maybe try to figure out some way of getting busing or something.
So I think we can. I think there's a lot of potential here. I'm embarrassed to say that, I'm the partner person, and I have not partnered with you guys. We do write grants collaboratively with United Way and Boys and Girls Club and YMCA and all these partnerships, but we haven't done that on this level with the arts, and this is so exciting to me. It's just sort of opening up a lot of ideas, and also we have very robust after-school programs. So I see, right? All of our intergenerational poverty grants are for those after-school and 21st century grants. So 6 of our schools are very robust after-school programs where we could, when you're talking about blending times, you know, that might be a good overlapping time. So the wheels are turning. It's just, this is exciting stuff. So you guys can.
Our CCEL, Center for Community Engaged Learning,
I work with
has
them all the
this,
time.
yeah, well, you know how each semester they usually have the speed dating, connecting? We should see if we could get them to have a new division within the arts.
Yes.
And
using
maybe
all the
we,
others.
arts and education, get the ed teachers and get the art areas together and find out what teachers are thinking about doing these kind of outreach programs or classes that connect with nurture, for example, that students could make themselves available to. So that might be one way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're in our after-school programs. I place them in schools.
There's a lot of benefit there because, I mean, even the school district, for example, if there was a partnership between Nurture the Creative Mind and the school district when we launched that podcast, that's a win for the school district. The
Yeah.
school district can then say that we have students that are a part of this nationally syndicated podcast. You know, if it's a partnership with the school district and another nonprofit, Good Company Theater, whatever achievements we achieve is the school district's achievement as well. I just think there's a lot of benefit.
I also do all the MOUs with partners. So this is good.
Well,
This is
the whole
exciting.
community grants are another great opportunity with a small amount of funding that I think we could be connecting some kind of co-educational outreach programs together. Because you can get well, they call them the quick, not really, but you know, there's a $2,000 available and for lots of kind of down and dirty, the fairly simplified, not the extensive grant writing with the Hall grants, which is another possibility. Also, you guys, I'm assuming everybody here knows about the Utah Division of Museum and Arts. They have the smaller, anywhere from 600 to, is it 1,500 grant that's readily available, like for supplies. And that's pretty solid in terms of getting it. You know, it's kind of a one-time deal. But the Utah Division of Museum and Arts and the Change Leader grants are available there. So there are several things like that. Maybe what we need to set up are a couple of these nights every year and one's about grants or grant writing. And we could maybe continue this kind of conversation on a little bit more formal basis.
I actually was wondering, I don't know if we could take to the district that we have PDs, I think every term, every quarter. It'd be really nice if we could have an 8-hour PD with professionals like this, that we all brought our grant proposals and we just sat and we made proposals, and by the end we all had some sort of proposal where we could get big money and just, beginning of the year, just put them in and start getting it in so we can do these projects. I think it'd be a good way of building our curriculum, get vision.
We have a TED writing class that the
'cause I'm
students
excited.
have to practice. They could come and put in their hours and help you guys write.
And I just feel like this 1 hour is
Interested in
the
having art PDs to do that type of thing next year. If I request it,
Because I'm motivated, but I feel like I have a request, like we have to go back to our school contract time. It's like I'm just excited and ready to start, and it's like no, we have to go. So it's like having 8 hours to really bring all of our materials and just make some grants and get them rolling. Yeah, fantastic.
I'd like to say something about all this. I've been teaching for 30 years. I taught at Weber State. I graduated from Weber State. Taught at USU, graduated from there too. One of the big things happened as a teacher is when Weber State had some Hispanic, world-class Hispanic photographers put their work up there. And 4 of my kids showed with them, and all 4 of those kids went to college because of that.
Edward
Haven't seen
Tinsky
it for a long
show,
time.
and it was connected with Edward
Right,
Tinsky,
and
the
so
way
that's
he
stuff
put
that
it together.
I want, because I got 10 million things I'm doing. I didn't say all the things I did, but I usually don't get out of school till 8 o'clock at night. I'm not even kidding around. I'm not laying in bed or sleeping. I'm here, and then I go home, and I'm so spent that I don't have nothing left in that sink. But those kind of things give me more gas to want to go longer than father. And the other thing we need to do is we need to communicate, because these are all great ideas, but we're going to go back to our rooms and we're going to forget about it. So we need to have like a communication pool. I know that she's worked for somewhere.
behind you.
Somewhere. She's worked really hard at that, but like if we all had a information central spot where all your stuff's there, then I'm gonna be more willing to go, oh, cool, I could show, I have really 10 strong photographic frame pieces already that have been in the state art show, the district art show, that are really strong pieces. They're college pieces. But I don't have nowhere to show them, and I really don't have time to go around and worry about that. But if I go, oh, look, there's some space available, wow, I think I'm gonna talk to my kids about that. Because, like I said before, we're so busy doing our stuff and running all of our programs that when you get done, if you don't see it on something like on your email or something like that, I'm just being honest. I don't think about it. Plus, I got grandkids. I got other things going on too. I got family.
Which you have a life?
Right. Which I get chided for not doing more stuff with. But I would love to have some way to hear from you all the time.
Well, and I think a central hub is what Lori has worked diligently on and
Yeah,
created.
and it's still in the works, but there's a little building on the corner of 25th and Washington, where the OMG Cafe used to be. It's right there by the city building. Kind of looks like an ice cream shop right now, but it's never open. That's going to be an information hub of everything, hopefully, that's going on, event-wise and things coming up. And within that, there'll be a calendar that lives on everything that's coming up. So that's in the works for that. And I do have, and it's really hard for me to manage, I have so much on my plate, but a Facebook group called Art Summit that you're welcome to join or follow social media, because I do post that stuff. You know what I mean? That is coming out there. It's just, I don't know how to reach everyone. And so knowing that you're looking for that, if you can, follow, my social media, because I put most everything out there on that, and you'll see opportunities, free things coming up, all these things and stuff, so that you can tell your students and get them involved and actually hopefully help yourselves, things that you might be interested in.
I'm thinking about something really intimate though, where it's
I can commit this fall. Let's do it. You and I, we'll put it together.
Yeah, because
I'm dead serious.
and
So
you think about all the stuff I got to give, because I got stuff too. I've got stuff.
for sure,
that I can
I
share
already have it in my head what it's going to
without
look
being
like.
charged
We're
for
good.
you.
It's already
All right,
happening.
so I think we got a break, because these two got to connect. So